Hey, hey, hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, your host, Christina. Now we are getting ready to have a boat demonstration. I'm far enough away from everybody else right now. So we're getting ready to have a bat demonstration by Renata Plattenberg. And she's the bat expert. And so we're going to get to hear a little bit about some of the sounds that we would be able to hear if we were kind of listening for bats. She has some recordings that she'd like to show. She also has this really cool device that will be able to kind of pick up sounds. And I'll let her talk to you a little bit more about it because I don't know really anything about it. So we are, again, out here at the Southgate Coastal Reserve. And Southgate Coastal Reserve, brought to you by the St. Croix Environmental Association. All right, so thank you, Lindsay. I like my glasses a lot. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm gonna head on over to the group, which means this goes back on. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so we have Renata, we have Matt, and we have Jen, and then what's your name again? Steve. We got Steve over there in the back. All right. So Renata, I was just telling the viewers like a little bit about this device you were talking about that was able to pick up sounds, and I obviously don't know anything about it. So could you kind of give us a rundown of that?
Yeah, sure. So what we have here is a little piece of a little black box, and it doesn't look like very much, but it's actually a really powerful, really super cool tool that we use to study bats with. And what this is, it's an ultrasonic acoustic detector. It's a bat detector.
Ooh.
And it plugs into an iPad or iPhone, if I can figure out where. There we go.
We got it.
Right, so it plugs in, and now I have a bat detector. And what this does is it picks up, it's like a radio, and it picks up the sound waves that are above a certain frequency. So bats call at a frequency that's above human hearing, and this bat detector will pick the signal, pick those sound waves up, and it'll feed it into the iPad. And I have an app called the Echo Meter, and the app will take those sound waves and translate them to a frequency that we can hear, so we can hear it playing back out of the iPad. But it also plots the pattern of the sound on a graph. And on the x-axis is time, on the y-axis is frequency, and what we see in between is the pattern of the sound that's being emitted by the bats. Okay. So just a quick biology lesson, right? Bats echolocate, but they're also very communicative. So they talk a lot between themselves. And echolocation means that they're sending out a sonar signal. They're sending out a signal that's at a frequency that we can't hear, that's above our human hearing. They're sending out a signal. It's very, very fast, and it will hit something that's, in front of them, and then it bounces off. And so bats have really good kind of facial structures to enable them to direct that sound as it comes out of their mouth. But they also have these amazing ear structures that enable them to hear the sound coming from echoing back from different directions. So if it echoes on the right side, then they know that, it's closer to their right side. If they spin around and it's on the left side, then they know. And so that's how they can really kind of hone in on something like a moving insect or a, tree branch. And so, because bats navigate by echolocation, people have this idea that bats are blind. And they're actually not blind. They have really good eyesight. And of course, they can see way better at night than we can. Right? Our night vision is not very good, but their night vision is amazing, such that, they can pick out on the ground, they can pick out a scorpion. The difference between like a scorpion and a clod of dirt, which we can't do. Right?
I can barely see in the day. It's fine.
I know. I'm like, I can't. Yeah. So bats have amazing eyesight, but they use this echolocation to enable them to navigate through these crowded forest environments much more efficiently.
Cool.
Right? So it's like us, we can walk to the store, but if we take our car, we get there a lot better, a lot easier, a lot faster.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
it's kind of the same kind of principle.
Okay. Cool.
And so I'm going to demonstrate on my iPad. Let me see if I can get this set up. So I have some recordings that I collected earlier. I have loads of recordings on this iPad. And hopefully you can kind of find a place where there's not so much glare.
I can see it, kind
Can
of.
you see that?
Yep.
Tell me which way to move it.
I think it's okay. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I'm
only
gonna
so much you can do.
flip it this way actually. Okay, so this is the x-axis. This is this is time, and the y-axis is frequency, and you can see the frequencies over here. So 10, 20, 30. These are kilohertz.
Okay.
And what this is called is a spectrogram. It's a visual representation of a sound.
Okay.
And I'm just going to press play on this. So that's kind of real time. That's a bat. I mean, this is a recording, but that's a bat kind of flying overhead.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to, understand what's going on, right? We know that's a bat.
Cool.
We actually know what kind of species it is because we recognize that sound pattern. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this software and I'm going to ask it to slow this recording down.
Oh.
And this will give us a much more intimate, eavesdrop to the conversation of this bat. So that's the bat.
What?
Yeah. There's some other stuff in the background. Sometimes that's wind, sometimes that's ocean bugs, a lot of times.
This is so cool. Wow.
So okay.
What was that?
Okay, so what we just heard right there. So I said that bats communicate with each other. Sometimes we hear fights in these recordings. Sometimes we hear interactions between bats. What we just heard though was a what we call a feeding buzz. So as the bat finds an insect, right, flying, the bat's flying, insect's flying, and the bat detects an insect, it will emit faster sounds, faster signals. To hone in on the location of that insect, and that's what we're hearing is that tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
When you play it in, I can just go back so that we can listen to this again. When you play it in real time, you can't hear it. But when we play it in time expanded mode. So it gets faster and faster until it either gets the bug or it misses the bug, and then it flies off and either eats the bug or it starts over.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a comment. Hi, my name's Kitty and I love bats.
So this is one tool that we have for identifying what bats we have in an environment. We can put out, so this is a handheld, this is real time. We can take recordings off of it, but it's really hard to leave this in the field. But what we have are, do you have those recorders? We have some recorders, some boxes that we put in the bush, and it's by the same company, Wildlife Acoustics. They make a range of these recorders. We put them in the field. We leave them out for a couple weeks, couple months, whatever. And then we come and download the SD cards.
Oh.
And then we go through all of these.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So this is our acoustic, our ultrasonic bat detector, and basically it's programmable. And it has big batteries.
That's hefty.
It has big batteries, and it has this ultrasonic microphone that picks up the sounds of the bats. So it doesn't work so well for frogs and birds because it records at a higher frequency. But sometimes we can hear the frogs and birds on these things. So
wow.
Yeah, we drag these around in the field. We stick them out in the field and hang the microphone, and then we come back later and we can identify things like what species it is. We can pick out some of those behavioral differences, the feeding versus just echolocating, so moving through a space. We can kind of tell how the bat is using the spaces by listening to their voices. We can identify when there's a bunch of bats in a single space. We can identify when there's just one bat kind of flying through. We don't know if it's one bat or a couple of bats, but we know that it's not a bunch of bats because when there's a bunch of bats, those signals are overlaid.
Oh, okay.
And it's very, very obvious.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's just one signal in a recording, it could be one bat flying back and forth. They tend to do this a lot. Or it could be two bats, one flying, one
return.
One
okay.
So we can't do abundance, but we can get activity patterns. We can identify, when the bats are emerging at night. We can identify when they're feeding. We can tell if they're in an area feeding or if they're just passing through an area. We can tell if we've got a roost, if we're by a roost because of the time of day. We can tell if there's a water resource or a food resource because the bats are visiting, the bats are active throughout the night. And so all of those pieces of information, time of day, amount of signal in the recording, numbers of signals in the recording, the size of the sound, right? All of those different things will tell us what, who's out there, who's with who, and what they're doing.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Cool.
That's like you get all of that information put together and you're like, this is that kind of bat with this other kind of bat. They're friends. It's fine.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So,
yeah.
Are you going to be trying to get sound out here today?
Yeah. So we have 2 recorders that we're going to install here tonight. We're going to leave them in overnight.
Oh, okay.
So we should be able to get some really good evening and early morning recordings of bats. And we're also going to be putting up nets later tonight.
Oh, okay.
Mist nets to catch the bats, and we'll get some measurements off of them. Some body measurements, wing and weight and stuff like that.
Okay.
Find out who's out here.
That is so neat.
Yeah.
This is really exciting. Can't wait for it to kind of get dark and we get to kind of go out and check it out. Can I just ask you, Renata, what is the common name of your favorite bat?
Oh my gosh, my favorite bat.
Your favorite bat.
My absolute favorite bat is the bat that's in front of me right now.
Wait, what? Any bat?
I don't actually care, as long as I have a bat,
Okay. Yay, bats. Fantastic. What is the science of bats? What is it called?
Yeah.
Chiroptology.
So bats are mammals, and they belong to the order Chiroptera, and Chiroptera means hand wing. And basically, if you look at a bat's wing, and I should have my pet bat with me, but I don't. My stuffed bat. If you look at the wings of the bats, there's a thing on the top of the wing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then they have these like membranous wings. And those bones in the wings are actually fingers, and that thing that sticks up is a thumb.
Oh.
So their morphology, this is their forearm, and then the wing comes off of the forearm, and those bones in there are phalanges, they're finger bones. And so that's why they're called Chiroptera, which stands for hand wing.
Okay.
Or wing hand.
I was kind of thinking like, I don't know, I think of raptor for some reason. Chiropter, like, that's just me in my head, you know, with that little thumb and everything, you know.
Terra means Chiro, Terra means wing.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I was getting there, y'all. Yeah, you know. Okay, so first of all, have you ever participated in a Bioblitz before? Or, I think I heard you guys talking earlier, but for the viewers.
Yeah, so I live on St. Thomas, and I came over here to do the Bioblitz, to do the bat service for the Bioblitz in 2010, so 10 years ago. And we did catch a couple of bats. We did catch a couple of bats. So I'm excited tonight to see how well, you know, we compare to last time.
Oh, cool.
But I also, Jen and I did the first ever Virgin Islands Bioblitz. And I don't even remember what year it was, 2008, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
2008, Jen.
Or maybe even 2006. It was a long time ago. And we did it at Megan's Bay on St. Thomas.
Cool.
And really, there were not a whole lot of biologists around at all at the time. And Jen and I were, you know, kind of the experts. And so we started off at like 6 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And we went the whole entire day until 11 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh, that's a long day.
And we did birds, and we did plants, and we did insects, and we did lizards.
You did them all.
And we did bats, and we did kids. And, we did the whole thing. And I swore I would never do that.
Oh my gosh.
It was such hard work. But it was really awesome. We got an amazing species list.
I mean, that's worth it.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions here on Facebook Live from your viewers.
Okay.
Kimberly asked, where are the bats sleeping during the daytime?
That's a great question. So different species will occupy different spaces during the day.
Okay.
So what we call the day roost is like their home.
Okay.
Right? It's where they sleep. It's where they live. It's where they interact with each other. The day roost for the Virgin Islands bats typically is forest cover. We do have a couple of species that are cave dwellers. And so on St. Croix, those bats will occupy some of those old Danish ruins. The little insect-eating bats. We have 5 species of bat in the Virgin Islands. 3 of them are fruit-eating bats. One of them's a specialized fish eater.
What?
Super cool.
A fish eater?
Yeah.
What?
Steve, do you have any photos? I didn't bring
Oh my gosh.
Right. So fish eater. And the fish eaters live jammed, so it's a big bat, right? It's like this big, wings like that, and feet like this, right? And they live in these tiny, tiny tree hole cavities, right? So they'll just jam themselves into these tiny cavities in trees, in big trees. Our smallest bat is an insect eater. It's size my thumb, wingspan about like this.
Ooh, it's tiny.
Right, they're the ones that we've actually been listening to.
Oh, okay.
And they will, they really like to live around people.
That would explain the one near my apartment.
Yeah, they really like to live around people. And so they will be, they'll be in our roofs. Oh yeah, here's a There's a fish eating bat.
This is a fish eating bat, everyone. Look at him.
Right.
Oh, look at his orange head.
And so that's our, yeah, they're very, very orange. And look at their giant feet. So that's,
wow, it's got 2 hooks on it? 3?
Yeah, because they're fish eaters, right?
Wow. What?
Yeah.
Is that common? Are bats like commonly known to eat fish or no?
No. There's a few species of bats that are specialized fish eaters.
Okay.
We have 2 species of these guys that are called bulldog bats.
Mm-hmm.
They're Caribbean, Central America, Northern South America.
Okay.
And they're highly specialized to eat fish. But there's a couple other bats that, the little brown bat will take fish. They'll go over water and they'll grab the fish out. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
So did that answer the question? So during the day, they're at their homes. At night they fly out and they hunt for food and they'll often go back to their day roost.
Okay.
At night. But not always. There's a type of bat, the Jamaican fruit-eating bat that's very common in the Virgin Islands. They actually have night roosts. So it's like they leave their home and they go to their office and they spend the night in their night roost, and then they go back home.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Kitty asked, what species do you expect to see tonight? Like, who do you know of any bat that actually frequents Southgate?
Yeah. So last time we were here, we caught the Jamaican fruit-eating bat, Artibus jamaicensis. I expect that there are the insect-eating bats, the Pallas mastiff bat or Molossus molossus. That's the one that's the size of my thumb. They're really hard to catch though because they are above the canopy flyers.
Okay.
So if we don't put our nets right next to a roost, we can watch them all you like, but they're way above our net.
Oh, okay.
There's a good chance that there's the fisherman bat here. There's a really good chance that they're here.
I'm sure they're around.
Oh, look, if there's a fisherman bat, I'm so about that.
Yeah.
I want to see that in person, real life.
We could catch all 5 species of bats in Virgin Islands. We could very feasibly catch all 5 here tonight.
Wow. I mean,
we won't. But, the opportunity is here for them all, for all 5 of the species to be using this area.
Okay. I mean, you said, Jen, that there's 100 acres here at Southgate, right? So that's a lot of land that they could be using, even though we're in a small section.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of different habitats here, though, too.
Right.
And where you have different habitats and you have different types of trees and native trees, you do get different species using different trees, different bats using different trees in different areas and different habitats.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's very likely that you do have all 5 species using this reserve.
Okay. Let me ask this question. And remember, everyone, if you have any questions, please just put it in the comments. I'm reading them as we go. Okay. Renata, what should someone do if they come across a bat that's hurt or fallen?
Yeah, so we get this a lot, especially in like August, September. The baby bats get themselves in trouble. They don't know exactly how to get back into their house. And so they go flapping at the window and whatever, and sometimes we'll get into people's houses or get stuck on their cars or whatever.
Okay.
And we'll come and pick them up, and we'll, give them a good meal and keep them overnight and give them a couple good meals, and then try and get them back to their home the next day or the day after. Bats that are injured take a little bit more time. You do have a flight tent that we can keep bats in as they recuperate, and we've treated a few bats over the time that we've been studying bats. But basically, you really need to let someone know that there's a bat.
Okay.
Sometimes, though, the little insect-eating bats, right, the thumb one, they will take advantage of an open window and a light on and a light that's maybe surrounded by a moth.
Oh.
And they'll come in to a room without understanding that they're in a room.
Oh, okay.
And then they're like, whoa.
Where am I? I just wanted the moth.
And we do get a lot of phone calls from people going, there's a bat flying around right now, right? And, the message is to let them settle and then go and pick them up with a towel.
Okay.
Something soft, not a pan, not a fly swatter.
Okay, yeah.
Like that, right?
Please don't kill it.
Pick it carefully. And those bats are funny because they don't fly away when you let them go, right? They just go.
Oh.
So they have to be hung on a tree like a Christmas tree ornament.
Oh.
We hang them off the trees, and they'll climb up the tree, and then they'll fly off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not on your credit. Don't. They are not an ornament. Okay, everybody.
I said light.
Bats are not ornaments for Christmas trees. Let's see. Okay. Can we talk a little bit more about how important bats are to the Virgin Islands?
Yeah. So as I've already mentioned, we have 5 species of bats. One's an insect eater. These guys eat an enormous amount of insects every single night. So these bats are about 12 to 14 grams in weight, which is like not even an ounce. It's really small. But they have to eat about half of their body weight in insects every single night, right? So one little bat. So we did the math.
Oh.
We worked out how much a mosquito weighs.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So there's
I have no
data.
idea. I just want them gone.
Yeah,
Actually.
those data are out there. Someone has weighed a mosquito, and it's on the internet, and I looked it up, and then I calculated how many mosquitoes will fit into 6 grams of a bat, half a bat.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think? Any idea? Anyone want
How many?
2,000?
2,500. No, 2,000.
Pretty close.
Oh, dang.
It's about,
I was close.
Yeah, it's about 2,400
Yes!
mosquitoes. Yeah. Per bat, per night.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. Yes,
yeah,
eat them all.
So they don't just eat mosquitoes; they eat moths and beetles and things like that, right? But they do eat mosquitoes. And there have been studies in Costa Rica, different species of bats, right? But studies in Costa Rica that indicated that the bats are eating the mosquitoes that have dengue and Zika.
Wow.
And they're doing this by they're quantifying this, so they're measuring this by looking at the genetic makeup of the bat in different parts of the bat. So blood, saliva, stomach, intestines, and where they're finding the virus for Zika is in the stomach and the intestines, which indicates that the bat is eating these things.
What?
And it's not in the blood. The virus is not in the blood. It's not in the saliva. So they're the end hosts. They're eating these things, and they're not transmitting it.
Yes.
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 Yeah. So, but the fruit-eating species are really, really critically important in the Virgin Islands for pollination.
Makes sense.
And for seed dispersal. A lot of these trees would have been planted by bats.
Doop, 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 doop.
That's not leave the birds out.
I do have one more question from a Kimberly.
Yes.
Is there a contact number, or who do you contact for bat help? Who do we send out the bat signal to?
Yeah, the bat signal. Send out the bat signal to the VI bat team. We're on Facebook. You can get us by messenger. And we respond to that really quickly, to those.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. I hope that answered your question, Kimberly. I don't, Oh my gosh. So is there anything that you specifically want people to know about bats? Like something that you just have to shout from the rooftops?
Yeah, bats are super cool. Bats are super cool.
Yes, yes, sweet and simple. Yes.
Bats are super cool. They're super important, and you know we really do need to not be afraid of them because. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. We were working this past year. We've been working with the Department of Health,
Okay.
who has been working with the CDC to do some wildlife disease surveillance in the Virgin Islands. And so we've been catching bats, we've been taking blood, saliva, urine. I'm sure there's something else. We spent a long time with each bat collecting different samples. And we're looking for things like rabies, we're looking for leptospirosis, we're looking for just anything else, viral, anything else. And the bats all came up pretty much negative.
Okay.
The bats came up negative for rabies, for I think there was one bat that had leptospirosis, but the rest of them, all those other diseases, not rabies. We don't have rabies in the territory. It was not found in anything. Yes. But the rats and the mongoose are the ones that are carrying stuff, right? So you want to stay away from rats and mongoose. The bats are not harmful. Our bats in the Virgin Islands don't have anything that's infectious or harmful to us.
Oh, fantastic. That was going to be one of my questions, so you just answered it.
Yeah.
Awesome. If someone wanted to get in this field, what was like the main piece of advice for, how do you say
Chiroptology.
Chiroptology. Man, I'm going to be stuck on that one, y'all. Chiroptology. Say it 3 times fast. Okay, so what would be like the main advice that you would give to someone who would like to pursue a career in the field of chiroptology?
Yeah, so I would suggest going to a school that has a wildlife biology program. And I would also suggest hunting out a bat team.
Okay.
Like the VI bat team, and asking if you can volunteer.
Volunteering. There we go.
Yeah. So in order to work with bats in the United States, you have to have an endangered species license. And in order to get that, you have to have lots and lots of hours in the field working with bats. So the more experience you get in the field handling bats and, learning about how to work with them, the easier it's going to be to get paid to work with them. I don't get paid though. I don't get paid to work with bats. We have the VI bat team, and we are all volunteers. There's 4 to 5 to 6 members at any given time. My husband Steve and I are we have the core bat team. We're the ones that go, all the places. We're the ones that go to people's houses. We put up the bat houses, and we do the bat exclusions and all of that. And we do the monthly monitoring of the bats on St. Thomas. But we have a bunch of volunteers that work with us, and none of us get paid for any of this. Okay. And so we do have a nonprofit. We scrounge, we beg, we get money to buy nets and recorders.
Gotcha.
And that's the only thing we need, really. Nets and recorders and batteries and SD cards.
Wow. Nets, recorders, batteries, and SD cards. Y'all heard it. Just saying. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, anything else? Anybody have anything to say? Are we excited for tonight?
So excited.
Yes, because it's still daytime, everyone, as you can see, day. But we will, once it starts getting darker, I believe that's when we're going to start setting up the nets.
Well, we're going to start setting up the nets now.
Okay, they're going to start setting up the nets now.
Open them later.
Open them later.
Ready when, so when it gets dark enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the bats come out just before dusk.
Oh.
Right, just as it's starting to get dark, that's when we get the first set of bats. And then the last bat comes out when it's dark. So we usually don't catch anything after emergence, so a couple hours after sunset, and then we put the nets up and go home.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a good plan. Yeah. So I will let you guys get started on putting up the nets. And again, everybody, that is chiroptology. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got it, guys. Chiroptology. That's what it is. All right. So you guys heard it first here. You know, need to volunteer because you need an endangered species permit, right? License.
In the States.
In the
Here
States.
we don't. We have a permit from DPNR, Fish and Wildlife.
Yep.
Yep, and that's a permit that covers the VI bat team.
Perfect. So in the States, you need something different. But in here, you can volunteer on the islands, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So anyway, you guys, we're going to finish up here. Next, we have, I believe we have Gut. Alfonso Garcia is the next interview. And then after that will be Sean with spiders and insects. And then we'll come back to the bats. And I'm going to try and get some footage while we're out and about as it gets darker. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. Say bye. Bye. Yay.